Anthony Noire by Christopher D. Anthony Fantano sat at his desk and took a long drag from his cigarette. A bead of sweat traced its way down his chin. It was hot in his office, a little too hot. The flickering beams of a streetlight made their way through the slats of the closed blinds, making a trail through the smoke that filled the room. Fantano muffed out his cigarette in the ashtray sitting on his desk. It had been a while since a job had come his way. Fantano reached for his mason jar, filled to the brim with freshly made melonade, and was about to take a sip when suddenly the door slammed open. A dim light filled the smoky room, and filling the doorway, Fantano saw the outline of a dame unlike any other he had seen before. She had hips that could make the Pope's loins stir, long blonde hair, and a mustache unlike any other Fantano had seen before. The name is Kalida, but you can call me Cal, sugar, the dame said. What brings a gal like you to these parts? Said Fantano. I heard you're the internet's busiest music nerd, aren't you? Some people would say so. Well, I have a case for you, sugar. Cal stepped into the room, followed by a hazy aura of perfume. Fantano put his mason jar down and leaned back into his chair. Cal walked up to Fantano's desk in the sort of way that could make any man weak in the knees and said, I have an album that needs reviewing. Fantano eyed her suspiciously. It's a tape, actually. All lights fucked on the hairy amp drooling, they call it. Now say, where did a gal like you find a tape like that? You see, I don't. That's what I need you for. I know who has it. Cal took a seat on Fantano's desk and pulled out a cigarette. You mind if I smoke, sugar? Fantano shot a look at her. Good, sugar, so here's the scoop. A man named Piero Scaruffi has it hidden away where nobody will ever find it. Cal lit the cigarette and took a drag. And where might that be? A place where nobody would ever suspect to look. Cal blew out a puff of smoke and hopped down off the desk. She began to walk towards the door and turned back to Fantano and said seductively, You be careful now. I wouldn't want you getting hurt. Fantano knew Fantano knew this Scaruffi character very well. After all, Fantano was the internet's busiest music nerd. He had seen the interior of his house before, but how to break in? Fantano sat in the dark, hazy office, the last notes of Cal's perfume lingering in the smoky air. He needed this job. His 7 children were counting on him. Suddenly, he understood exactly what he had to do. He picked up the phone on his desk and flipped through his Rolodex to Scaruffi's number. He punched the number into the receiver and listened as the line rang. After what seemed like an eternity, he picked up. Hey, Piero. You want to listen to the new Swans album at your place? Huh? Who is this? He said, with his voice still raspy from sleep. Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. Oh, hi, it's 3 in the goddamn AM, Anthony. What is this about? How would you like to listen to the new Swans album together at your place? I guess, but only to further the plot. Good, I'll see you in 10. Anthony slammed the phone onto the receiver and celebrated in a silent victory to himself. He walked across the office, threw on his trench coat, grabbed his copy of To Be Kind, and headed out into the night. It was almost 4 a.m. by the time Fantano reached Scaruffi's place, and pouring rain. Fantano stepped out of his car and walked through his door. His house was a humble house, with a welcome mat and a Christmas wreath, even though it was August. Fantano rang the doorbell, and a couple seconds later, Scaruffi answered the door. He had on a large smile despite how tired he was, but Anthony could see right through that. He knew what Scaruffi was up to. Hey, Anthony, long time no see. The place is a mess. I wasn't quite expecting anyone tonight. Scaruffi had guided Fantano in. Fantano could see through his lies and false courtesies. The room was immaculate. Fantano pulled out the Swans album from under his trench coat. So, where do you want to listen to this? Follow me upstairs. That's where I keep my turntable. Fantano followed him up the stairs cautiously. They walked into a large room with walls and walls of records. Fantano knew he could never find the tape in here with Scruffi watching over him. You know, Piero, I sure am thirsty. From all that driving to get over here. Can you bring me a drink? Sure, what would you like? Melonade. I'll see what I can find for you. Scruffi left the room and Fantano went to work looking for the tape. He found a large box of old tapes and started to dig through it, but to no avail. In frustration, he kicked the box and a beetle skittered out from under it. At that moment, Scruffi came back into the room. What is the ruckus in here? Scruffi said. I think you have a beetle problem. Scruffi stared at Fantano with anger and started... At the fact that so many books still name the Beatles the greatest or most significant or most influential rock band ever... Then all of a sudden it hit Fantano, a place where nobody would look. Fantano made his way to the wall and looked under the letter B. There it was, sandwiched between two Beatles records, all lights fucked on the hairy amp drooling. Strong Ted, Fantano said quietly to himself.